We've got 10
on
seconds.
that
I want to
note-
hear Woodsy's wrap on the Firefly experience with you so far.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think what you guys are doing is groundbreaking, and we need more of it. We need to come together to grow it. It's you guys both know I'm a massive fan of this. We need to communicate the simplicity of it to clubs and leagues and organisations. From in my understanding, step one, who are the admins who are going to approve the hours? Step two, get them on board, sign up. It's simple as that, right? Yes, and then you understand the process, but I think the world needs this, mate. So I'm such an advocate and supporter of it.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy because we came into this interview or this chat under the premise that we're running a series of newsletters that we send out to our constituents, our wonderful volunteer communities around three key pillars: elevating volunteerism. We know that how important that is. We've talked about that ad nauseum. Enhancing fundraising and reach. So when you talk about storytelling, and that's a really important piece of that, right? Which is really interesting. And the third one for us is amplifying outcomes. And I think we've really leaned into amplifying outcomes here, which is that piece of what do you do in your day-to-day practice to improve who you are. And so we had reinforced leadership, and that's come through today.
Again, I'll localise it to footy. Your coaches, your TM and your trainers are the most important people in the club, because as an executive, as a CSO, you won't necessarily engage with all the kids. You can't possibly engage with all the kids all the time. And so communicating that message and with a safeguarding lens, there's lots of things to do. There's cultural inclusion, there's online, offline, on-field, off-field. There's so many things to this. But the essence of it is making kids feel that their voice is heard. That's the primary objective here, so that no kid feels like if they're in an unsafe environment, whether it be physically or people, or they're at home and there's challenges there, that they can speak to someone and they can speak to multiple people, and that there's mechanisms to do that. So yes, there can be online reporting forms. Yes, there can be a Dropbox. Yes, you can relay the message that you can talk to the president, the VP, the secretary, the CSO, but also your coaches, your TMs, your trainers. Like, your volunteers are the champions of safeguarding when it comes down to practical implementation. Again, documentation, policy procedures, yes, they're necessary, but they're just one part of it to help articulate what is the message that you need to be driving. And it's not about scaring the kids, it's not about scaring the stakeholders, it's about reinforcing that their voice matters, and you absolutely need your volunteers on board with that. So you need processes to communicate that, not at the start of every year, coaches, we need you to be the safeguarding manager. We need you to understand all of this. Yes, there's elements to that, but you've got to recruit them. You've got to get them on board to champion it enthusiastically. And that's where it's got to start with a vision, a mission. But ultimately, we all talk about trying to build culture. Culture's a consequence. They're doing all of these things, and it grows organically from the things you do. So, mate, I agree. I think there's huge elements to recruitment and communicating, but your volunteers are everything about that. And we're just talking about sport, right? So my sister, who's our COO and my co-founder in the business, she's having, like, I love sport outside of work. She loves theatre and arts, and so theatre and arts is another volunteer-led, non-profit sector that have exactly the same challenges. Yeah, different drivers and different touch points, but the same principle. And there's extra responsibilities in the theatre world because they're going to have licensing for payroll and for kids, and there's an extra layer of complexity there. And what are they trying to do? They want bums on seats when it's time for show, right? Or the music school needs kids in. And again, it's building trust, having systems and practices, providing that leadership, model that ultimately builds trust with your customer base or your membership base or whatever you want to call it. That's what you do it for. Like in the business world, and I was struck by the similarities between the business world and the sporting world or the non-profit world, is that you're still going to do these things. You're still going to be a responsible leader of the organisation. And what are you trying to do at the end of the day? If it's a non-profit, it's not more profit. It's obviously more participation, more growth, more members, more shows, more games, more footy boots, whatever the thing is, you're trying to grow. Well, you've got to do some certain things to not only for your legal responsibilities, but to grow your community and show that the participants can trust the leaders of your organisation.
Yeah.